What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Appreciate you tuning in. This video is going to be a case study, an internal case study we put together on how we increased our cold email reply rates by 11.5x really quickly. This has turned into the framework that we use for our clients as well, and what we continue to use internally. So this answers a lot of questions that I had at the beginning of my journey. We're still very early on. We're a young agency, but if I had access to this case study, this would have saved me tons of time and thousands of dollars. So I hope you can take away something with this. If you've never watched any of my videos, my name is Pablo Malandu. I'm the founder and CEO of Vintascale, a B2B lead generation agency. Without further ado, let's get into it. So this is where we were just a couple of months ago, in May 2025. At the time of recording this, it's July 5th, 2025. So this was about 3 months ago. Our reply rates were really bad. They were consistently under 1%. Our deliverability issues were hurting every campaign, and each new campaign was performing worse than the last. I'm going to show you a screenshot in a second of our Instantly dashboard, but I was plotting and tracking every single one of our campaigns on a line graph, and the graph looked like this. Like at the beginning of the week on a Monday when we first launched after warm up, it was let's just say around 1%, which is not great, but you can do something with that. And then by the end of the week, it would be at like 0.2%. Even if we launched new campaigns, changed new markets, we had no idea what was going on. And we lacked a lot of things. We lacked a lot of knowledge and competency, and we didn't have the right setup, and everything went wrong. We'll go deep into this case study so that you don't make the same mistakes that I made and that we made. But our reply rates were subpar, even for a young agency. Our deliverability issues were terrible. Everything was going wrong. Everything you can imagine that could possibly go wrong was going wrong. We had booked one meeting in 8 weeks it was at least 8,000 emails sent. It was just such terrible ratios. And if you don't know anything about cold email, ideally you want to be in a place where you're you're booking one meeting per every 1,000 emails sent. So we were way off, even for rookies and beginners. So we had these three major problems. Now, this is the screenshot I was alluding to. So these were our first campaigns ever. Starting from the bottom. The bottom is the first one. So as you can see, we were targeting telemedicine, so like healthcare tech. Then we were targeting just general B2B tech, which I would never recommend. It was I just targeted every B2B tech company in the United States under maybe 500 employees or whatever it was. So clearly there was a huge problem with targeting. I was targeting industries that I didn't know how to speak the language of. I had a couple of responses there, but it's like, as you can see, I got 4 responses on that first campaign. And they're like, yeah, send me more information. And then when I took a second glance at their website, it's like, I had no idea what this was even talking about. It was like biotech and stuff like that. I would not know how to properly qualify a lead. So we were venturing into the wrong places. In these wrong places, these niches that we had no business being in, our targeting was terrible, obviously, because we didn't know, and you can only rely so much on ChatGPT to give you the right job titles, but it can't save your life. It can't run your campaign and strategize your campaign for you 100%. Because we had no idea what we were talking about in this industry and who we were talking to, of course our copy was bad. And the cherry on top is we had very little competency relative to where we needed to be. When it came to running cold emails, sending cold emails at that volume. And so our domains were burning. Because we were just praying and spraying, and people were obviously marking us as spam, and we were getting such little responses. So if you can see this, We sent on that first campaign 1,800 emails, and we got 17 responses. So, not great. 1,800 emails, 17 responses, 4 positive responses. So our reply rate was 0.9%. And Instantly and Smart Lead, their reply rate, they don't do it per email sent. They do it per contacts reached. It's very, very, very key difference there. Regardless, not great. Not end of the world at 0.9%, but not great. And then we launched another campaign. By the way, that first campaign was a 3-step sequence, which we don't do now. So on the second campaign, our targeting got even worse. Tells you how little we knew, right? And how far we've come in just 3 months. So B2B tech, this was targeting just B2B tech firms, like I said earlier, under 500 employees. And we were just using a template that we had borrowed from Alex Berman, who's really popular in the cold email space. We sent 1,800 emails and we got a fraction of the responses we did before. So we got 7 responses. A lot of those were likely just out of office or automated responses. But point being, our reply rate went from 0.9% to 0.7%. The campaign after that, it went to 0.6%. I guess we didn't learn our lesson. We targeted B2B tech again, perhaps just trying a different copy. And then from 0.6%, it went to 0.2%. And so whenever you see your campaigns, new campaigns, progressively going down like that, and nothing about your offer has changed. Nothing about your offer has changed. Forget the copy. The copy can change, but the copy, like the offers, it can only be described in so many different ways, right? Nothing significant had changed about the framing of our offer. And our reply rates are going down. Sending enough emails to make these tests statistically significant. That's when we knew we had a serious deliverability problem. We also had a serious offer problem because nothing about our offer was standing out, but more so our deliverability problem needed to be addressed right away. We had to start there because you can make something work with a commonplace, decent offer, even though it's saturated and it's a commodity at this point. You can still make something work if you send enough emails. But if your deliverability is not there, you can't send emails, period. So what we decided to do is start from scratch. So we completely got rid of all those inboxes. We completely switched inbox providers. Not that it was their fault, not that we were using bad providers, but we just had to start fresh. We got new domains, everything. We started completely from scratch. We believed our old inboxes were burnt and hurting our performance. Because like I said, the reply rates just kept going down. And in between those campaigns, maybe a few days had elapsed. So we weren't running campaigns in parallel, if I recall correctly. I don't believe we were. So we believed our old inboxes were burnt and it was clearly hurting our performance. And we stopped sending for 21 days to fully warm up our new inboxes. This really hurt our momentum. Taking 3 weeks off, you might not feel it right away. But at the time we had no clients. But you might not feel it right away, but you will feel it. There's a lag, and you will feel it down the road. And at the very least, we were booking maybe one meeting every week or something like that, or every 2 weeks. But when we're not sending emails, we're not getting any meetings. So we paused sending for 21 days to fully warm up our new inboxes. So not 2 weeks. We gave it a full 21 days. This really hurt our momentum, but it was worth it. The other thing we did was we got we became obsessed with improving our level of competency across each fundamental step in putting together a cold email campaign. So targeting and list building, copywriting, campaign management, offer creation. We got a lot more specific with our Apollo filters to align with our offer. We tested company size, job title, location, revenue, headcount, because all of these things affect our offer. And we stopped guessing and let the data guide our adjustments. So I know for myself, I was spending 10 plus hours a day consuming information and putting it into action and just learning, because clearly in the mix with everything going wrong, there was a competency problem. Because if we were competent enough to run these campaigns, these high level campaigns, we wouldn't have been experiencing that much of a trend, that much of a drop in reply rates. So we overhauled our targeting, launched 3 weeks later. We even switched platforms from Instantly, which you saw early in the earlier screenshot, to Smart Lead, which is you see in this screenshot. We warmed up for 3 weeks. You'd think that with all the time and energy we were putting into learning that we'd start getting results. But we didn't. Even after the full warm-up period, reply rates stayed below 1%. It became clear we needed to rethink more than just deliverability. This just goes to show, though, that a lot of this is testing. And just because your campaigns they're going to flop, and they're going to flop often. But if you don't stop, then it changes from what could have been a failure to just data points for you to know how to course correct. So in these two campaigns right here, you can see the timestamp as well when they were created. And it lines up exactly with what I said. So in May, we were experiencing that problem. We took 3 weeks off, warmed up everything, and then so we were launching mid-June. We created these mid-June. And the first one is for legal tech. So tech companies that make software for law firms. The one above that, the second one, is tech companies, SaaS companies that make software for construction companies. So legal tech, kind of like fintech, but legal tech, and then construction tech. I thought that I could even make these campaigns even better by adding a lead magnet. Our reply rates were at 0.85% and 0.68%. So not great. And I'd start questioning, at this point I was questioning if our deliverability issues were haunting us. But that's when I also humbled myself and realized, okay, this doesn't just follow you for no reason. You're not being haunted. Something's going wrong here. You're not doing something right. And so just taking a look at this, knowing what I know now, we were sending these campaigns to way too small of a lead pool. 117 leads, 146 leads. That's not a lot. The lead magnet that I threw in, we threw in a lead magnet because if you're going to get a high response rate, it's going to come from a lead magnet, if any type of campaign. But that didn't work. I was also venturing into another space where I really didn't know what I was talking about. So although I thought my targeting was great, the copy can't be stellar if you don't know who you're talking to and what you're talking about. So it became clear we needed to rethink more than just deliverability. So we use a lead magnet to try and penetrate these new niches, like I just mentioned, and our original offer wasn't getting any traction. So we created a new lead magnet, and the lead magnet was 100 free leads of firms who are actively in the market for law firm software or construction software. So 100 free leads, 100, a list of 100 law firms who are in the market for new software, or a list of 100 construction firms who are in the market for new software. This made the offer far more relevant and attention grabbing, and it would help confirm that deliverability was no longer an issue, but there was just no response to this. So here I am thinking, is it the deliverability? But a part of me says, you know what? I was thinking that, perhaps the lead magnet they just don't want it. Or maybe it's not believable. So we didn't give up. We kept going. We kept testing every lever. The list building, the niches, the offer, the copy. We kept testing and playing with each lever. And through testing, we found the perfect audience. Or at least our first audience that really started to work for us. So we focus on staffing and recruitment firms who serve startups. Why staffing and recruitment firms? Because I personally have work experience in the staffing and recruitment industry. And I didn't just want to settle for staffing and recruitment. I could have just as easily done marketing agencies or financial services firms because I have experience in those as well. But I just started with staffing and recruitment just because it was first top of mind. And I decided not to just settle for staffing and recruitment, but staffing and recruitment firms who focus on a specific kind of industry. So the recruitment firm I used to work for focused on accounting and finance positions. So I thought, okay, let me get that deep and focus on staffing and recruitment firms, let's just say, who work with startups. The reason why I picked startups was because we have access to a weekly stream of hundreds of leads, a weekly stream of hundreds of firms who have recently received funding. So every week I get a new batch of these firms that have new funding, or that recently received funding in the last week or so. And this aligned perfectly, this niche of staffing and recruitment firms who serve startups, it aligned perfectly with our data advantage, because not a lot of lead generation agencies would have access to that information. So the match between the offer and the audience became that much tighter. So here's what happened. We went from averaging, I would say 0.7% reply rates, at least under 1%, to over 2% immediately upon launching this campaign, literally overnight. Our reply rates went from 0.6 or 0.7 to 2.31, as shown in the screenshot. Still a small amount of leads, a small test pool, but the reply rates, what is that? That is, I don't know, it's a huge multiple. 17% positive reply rates. And when you have something like this, that is at least over 1% reply rate, even better, ideal golden territory if you're over 2%, and you have, at least a 15 to 20% positive reply rate, that's a scalable campaign that you can just add more volume to and scale to the moon. All you do is expand the geographic location from the US to North America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. Or go from not just startup recruiters, but startup recruiters, accounting and finance recruiters, so on and so forth. Or you can increase it from recruiters from 3 to 10 employees to 3 to 20 employees. Like, there are a lot of ways to start scaling this. But this is what happens when you isolate the problem, and then you test enough to find what works. So you can see that when we were here running these two campaigns, we didn't have a deliverability problem. And it's a really easy cop-out to say, hey, we have a deliverability problem. Our inboxes are burnt. Maybe you don't have a deliverability problem. Maybe you have a product market fit problem. Maybe you have a copy problem. Maybe you have an offer problem. These jumps like this, going from increasing by huge multiples, in terms of your reply rates, that usually comes from what you're offering. When you have a big change in offer, you'll have a big change in reply rates. In this case, we had just achieved fit and alignment between who we were targeting and what we were offering. And so when we achieved that fit, that alignment, we just started to scale with volume. We sent the same offer to more leads, and we saw consistent results with positive replies. Granted, it didn't stay at the 2.31%, but anything over 1%, 1.5% is just scale that. Just scale it. Especially if you're getting the 15% positive reply rates, right? So we're getting consistent results. If you look at that screenshot at the top, we almost tripled the lead pool from about 200 people to almost 600 people. And our positive reply rate stayed the same, consistent. Our regular reply rate went down just a little bit to I can't see, what is it, 1.1%, something like that, if I can see that correctly. Yep. But our positive reply rate stayed the same at 17%, which is great. So I'd still scale that. And so that was a lead magnet campaign, and then we tried running a direct pitch campaign. So instead of offering something for free, we just say, hey, we can help you with this problem you might be experiencing. Would this be worth your time? Would this be worth a chat? Just a direct pitch. When we use a direct pitch instead of a lead magnet, our positive replies naturally dropped, but our overall reply rate stayed high. It actually went up to 1.85%. So compared to where we were at 0.6%, that is a huge multiple. Volume became a strength once the deliverability was stable. So because we fixed the deliverability problem, that's no longer a thing now. We ruled that out, we fixed it. Now we were able to focus on testing campaigns, niches, industries, offers, copy, messaging, framing. We got that right. And then that gave us permission, that gave us the green light to just start scaling and sending more emails. So that deliverability and the volume unlocked scale and our results. And actually, we started booking more meetings. Fixing the inbox setup and warm-up gave us confidence to increase volume. Higher sending volume actually helped validate performance. And we were able to confirm that deliverability was no longer holding us back. And oftentimes, people think they have a deliverability problem, but really they have a product market fit mismatch. Another thing that was important was that our copy had to evolve. So earlier on in this video, I said that we got obsessed with getting better at copywriting. We wrote and tested 15 to 20 different cold email scripts. Between these campaigns right here and the success stories that we were seeing here, and the success stories that we were seeing here, we had tested between 15 and 20 different cold email scripts, which is a lot. We played with structure of the email, the length of the email, the tone of the email, the calls to actions, the offer framing, the offer itself, the subject line. We went from direct pitch to lead magnet to sending information. We weren't afraid to go past 50 words in an email if it helped clarify the values. There's this trend of sending super short emails nowadays, which I like and subscribe to. But I don't think it should be a hard, fast rule if it allows you to communicate an offer that is so much better than anything else in the marketplace. Point being, we tested everything. We split tested different offers and messaging angles constantly. We tested different ways to position our offer, including free work or the first 3 leads on us, first 3 meetings on us. We tested fast, right? And testing fast and often gave us the insights we needed. Another key takeaway is that the market fit mattered more than words can say. When we targeted the wrong industries, our apply rates dropped again. We ran campaigns after those successful ones where the reply rates were less than 1%. We ran campaigns after those successful ones that were over 1%. So point is, you've never solved this thing forever. You have to test. But when you get it right, you will beat your previous high score because you have all this new knowledge going in now. Returning to industries more open to cold email brought our numbers back up as well. And matching our offer to the market was a non-negotiable. And again, this takes trial and error and testing. So closing out this case study with some key takeaways. If you feel like you might have a deliverability problem and you've tested enough to come to that conclusion, because don't arrive at that conclusion too early, but you've tested enough, you're confident, you see your campaign rates dropping, fix that deliverability before anything else. The easiest way to do that is just to get new domains and new inboxes. Hopefully you have backups. If you don't, you're going to be stuck not sending emails for at least 2 weeks, but that's okay. It's worth it to at least rule that out. Then nail your targeting. You nail your targeting by tightening it and playing around with it and testing it and testing it and testing it and testing it. Really think deeply about who you're talking to. Is it a CEO? How many people do they manage? Is it a company of 3 to 10 people? Is it a company of 10 to 500 people? They all want different things. A strong offer is more important than clever copy. You can get away with bad copy and a really strong offer. You can't get away with really strong copywriting and a terrible offer. Your offer is the single most important thing in your email. Until this day, right after this video, I'm going to go and refine our offer for Vintascale. Test copy relentlessly. Good copywriting amplifies a good offer. It doesn't make a good offer, but it will sell a good offer. It will amplify a good offer. Test these variations relentlessly. And then picking the right market. So the right market will make your cold email efforts 10 times easier. I'd say that there are markets to avoid. Just, markets like B2B SaaS. Don't just do B2B SaaS. It's too wide of a market. They also receive the most cold emails. I would say pick an industry where you personally have work experience and that you can speak the language to. That is the number one most important thing. So that's it for this case study. We learned a lot. We're continuing to make case studies like this to add and improve. We're working with clients right now and documenting our work with them. So I'm really excited to start putting that stuff out as well. If you run a B2B business and you'd like to put 5 to 10 sales meetings on your calendar a month on autopilot, completely done for you, hit the link in the description and book a free strategy call with myself, and we'll see if there's a fit there and let you know how we can help. See you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.